Good evening, everybody. It's Sunday night again, and it's time to talk a little bit about what's going on in the market, a couple of things to look for, some of the currency pairs that seem to be moving, and so on and so forth. And just some good old setups. There's a lot of things happening in these markets right now. Yen pairs have some good movements. The dollar's kind of all over the place. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So, since these videos have to be fairly limited in their length, I'm just going to cover some of the basic currency setups, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of it about the economic news in the chat room and in the update videos that I'll do towards the beginning of the week and on the webinar that we'll have. So right now, let's just kind of look at the setups. Let's look at a couple of pairs that should have some movement tonight at the beginning of the London session. As you can see, it's about 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so the London session will really get moving and started in about 2 hours, give or take, so we'll be keeping our eye out on that. Let's talk about what the Euro's doing right now. We see that it broke the weekly high. It broke Friday's high as well as the weekly high at about the 141.65 area, broke up above that, and it's come back down. What is it going to do? We're going to have to kind of wait and see. It's the top of the channel we're looking at is about the 143.30 area, and it's at about the 141.65. So we're going to kind of see what this thing does. I think it does have some potential to make it to the top of that channel. So we'll be watching to see if this pair can break up just a little bit throughout the later parts of the evening. So euro dollar, I think, could have some good upward potential. We just need to get it up above that 41.65 and keep it up there. But the short-term trend looks fairly upward for right now, and I think that there is some pretty good potential. Looks like about the last week and a half or so, it's been heading up fairly nicely, so I think there's some potential to get this up at least a little bit, kind of break some of these highs right here. We see that we have a very nice little common level at about the 141.65. A couple little peak up throughs right there. But nonetheless, there is some pretty good room to go if it can really break this level. So 141.65 should be a fairly crucial level for the euro dollar if it breaks it to give us some good upward movement. Looking at the pound tonight, the pound's not looking too amazing. I would say that we have a little bit of a level that needs to be broken. Almost the high that it's made, about the 164.20 would be a pretty good level to watch for, but as well as about the 164.10. So 10 to 20, if it can really kind of break above this general area here, I think it might have some potential to continue upward through the open of the London session. But it's not looking too terribly smooth right now. There's not any really nice levels that are really close by. It's just right smack dab in the middle of the summer channel, which I don't actually have on this chart, but it's about the 66, 16700, 166.50, right around there. And then we have about the 160, 158, somewhere down in this area here. And it's just kind of right in the middle there. It's definitely towards the upper part of the channel, but nothing too amazing looking there. Let's get to some pairs that look like they could have some good movement. Euro yen broke very nicely the weekly and the Friday high. Friday high was about 133.45. It's trading at about 134.100-ish right now, kind of been hopping around. So with a continuation of this pair right here, I think that we should be able to get some good movement out of this thing. Now, one thing that I'm going to look for sure is a very common thing that we see happen is on these angled trend line breakouts. The market breaks, it comes back down, it breaks down and it comes back up and it revisits these trend lines quite often. So that being the case, we could see some revisits happening up here at about the 135.100 area. So I would say that we really have about 100 pips worth of leeway on this euro yen. It's made a nice breakup. It broke Friday's high very early on into the break or into the open of the market this week. But I think there still could be some more in there. So let's watch it as we get closer to the London session. And I think we should see some pretty fair movement happening out of that one. No more major levels right there before that upper trend line at about the 135.100. So I'll be watching that close to the London session to see what happens. Aussie yen, we have a very similar situation on the Aussie yen, except for the fact that on our uptrend that it broke out of, it is definitely trying to make its way back up there. But the euro yen doesn't have quite such a smooth level like this one has, and I've had this one up for a good 2 weeks, week or so, give or take, this downtrend line here, and the market is coming up and just testing that level. It did break the weekly high, which is pretty important. It broke that weekly high and Friday high, and it's gone up and just bumped that new downtrend that we're seeing created here on the 4-hour chart. So this could be our brand new downtrend. Time will tell. A break of this level, I think, can definitely give us some nice movement up to the to the upward trend line that it broke out of a few weeks back, which is about 120, 130 pips away. I'd say about the 77.50 area that this market could make its way up to. But we do have to get it to break this downtrend line that we have right here. So I'll be definitely keeping my eye on that one to see how the break goes. There's lots of less than amazing news coming out of Australia right now, as far as there's been some commodities issues and some mining problems and some economic shakeups, as I like to call them. Nothing major, but I think definitely some things that might slow down the Aussie from progressing up quite so much right now. So we'll just kind of keep our eye on that. Aussie dollar, we have the same thing. It broke that weekly high and it's just come right back on us. Doesn't look like it's ready to make the big move yet. But this one has actually done a better job at breaking our little downtrend right here. Very likely to come up and test the top of this level as well here. So we're going to be looking at, about the 81.50-ish area, so about 75, 80 pips to get to that upper area. And I think that we may see some pretty nice uptrends there. One thing that we're seeing happen is very often on these this euro, this pound, this euro yen, the Aussie dollar, what we see happening is everything is nicely above the weekly pivot, the green daily pivot, the Dharma, everything's nicely up above. So we may actually have a good opportunity to get this as they come down and bounce off these levels and continue back upward. We'll have to keep a very close eye on this and definitely watch the price action as we get closer to the open of the London session, but we have opportunities on these pairs to kind of catch the dips. Everything's broke. It's proved that it wants to break up a little bit, so we may have some opportunities to jump in on the dips of these levels. But like I said, on this euro dollar, for example, we need to get it to maintain a position above that 141.65 area to get any kind of decent gains out of it. But definitely some good little opportunities to get the dips, buy on the dips of these little uptrends here. The yen pairs have run a little bit more, but anything with a dollar in it has broken and dipped right back down. So we don't want to jump into it just yet. Let's just see how things go as the London session opens and go from there. Last but not least, there's just two quick ones I want to look at real quick. The euro pound is still continuing its nice little uptrend here. So our uptrend is still continuing on the euro pound. Probably going to be some good buying opportunities in here. I don't have an exact target area, but basically where it stands, it's right above the weekly pivot, right at the Dharma, right at the green daily pivot. So we're going to have to kind of watch this, but I think there's going to be some good buying opportunities due to this uptrend that has been continuing on very nicely. Last but not least, the Canadian dollar. We saw some amazing movements on the Canadian dollar last week. So what we're going to watch to see is how this continues on. It easily broke those lows very early on into the open of the market. And so we're just going to kind of watch, see if this can swing back up a little bit, give us an opportunity to sell, or just kind of watch and see how this behaves. Everyone knows I don't trade the dollar yen or the dollar CAD, but I get a lot of questions about them, so I'm just kind of mentioning those few things. I won't even talk about the dollar yen yet until I see a really good reason to talk about that one. But that's kind of what's going on. Two quick things before we run out of time. We have the Dow. It's very close to a major support level, about 8,900. S&P 1,000 is very, very close. Excuse me, resistance on both these. 1,000 is very close on the S&P, and about the $1,000 area on gold is very close as well. So markets are reaching crucial areas. We still don't see a very solid direction on anything, so we're going to have to kind of keep our eyes out on that and see how everything goes. But we'll talk about that on the webinars and on the website as well. Good luck trading, everybody, and we will catch you soon.